The average American has 12 paid subscriptions and can only name 7 of them. Today, I'm walking you through the psychology of why subscriptions drain wealth faster than almost any other spending category, how to find the hidden ones you forgot about, and a simple decision framework for what to keep versus what to cancel. Plus, I'll show you why the subscription business model is designed to hack your brain and how to protect yourself. Welcome to Simple Finance Bites. I'm Ernest, and this is where we cut through financial industry nonsense and give you strategies that actually work. Quick bit of housekeeping. If these episodes are helping you, the best way to support the show is subscribing wherever you're listening and sharing with someone who needs to hear this stuff. It really does make a difference. Also, if you want more detailed guides and templates that go deeper than what we can cover in these episodes, make sure you're signed up for our free newsletter at simplefinancebites.com. I share additional insights there that don't make it into the podcast, including step-by-step implementation guides. Today, we're talking subscription audits, and I'm going to give you a framework that goes way beyond just cancel what you don't use. We're diving into the psychology of recurring payments, why your brain treats subscription costs differently than one-time purchases, and how companies exploit this to drain your wealth. But before we get into the audit process, let me tell you why subscription spending is probably costing you more than you think. Let's start with some numbers that are going to wake you up. The average American household now spends $273 per month on subscriptions. That's $3,276 per year. But here's the really shocking part. Most people estimate their subscription spending at around $79 per month. They're off by almost $200 monthly. This isn't because people are bad at math. It's because subscription companies have figured out exactly how to hack your brain to make recurring payments seem invisible. Think about your decision-making process when you sign up for Netflix for $15 a month versus buying a $180 annual membership to something. The $15 feels like nothing, even though it's exactly the same money over a year. Your brain doesn't naturally calculate recurring costs over time. The subscription economy exploded because companies discovered they could get you to agree to much higher total payments by breaking them into small monthly chunks. That sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Sort of like buy now, pay later, but for a service. It's the same psychology that makes a $500 monthly car payment feel more manageable than writing a $30,000 check, even though you're paying way more total with the financing and the interest. I still remember when I was much younger and would go into dealerships to look at new cars and how dirty dealerships would do. They would ask you questions like, what kind of a monthly payment are you looking at? What kind of a monthly payment can you afford? No discussion about the price of the vehicle, just monthly payments. And that's because they were figuring out how much profit could they squeeze into that note if they could extend it as long as possible. Given the interest rate you qualified for, they would make so much more money. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer to buy vehicles online with a clear posted price. The most recent vehicle we did this with was a Tesla. This was back in 2019, and it was a zero hassle experience. The price is clearly posted. You buy it, you drive away with it. No dealing with a dirty dealership or anything like that. There are other places like CarMax and Carvana. Same thing. And those also have return policies where if you're not satisfied with the vehicle, you can return it within a certain period of time. No harm, no foul. The dealership model is broken and it is a relic of the past and it needs to go away at this point. It's one of the many things where people are still being taken advantage of all the time. And again, it just goes back to the psychology. How much can you afford of a monthly payment? Not how much are you going to pay for this vehicle? This is one of the things we're going to talk about a lot on our website and on this podcast, which is what I call, or what we call, total cost of ownership, or TCO. You must always figure out the total cost of ownership for something, especially when it's expensive, to really understand what that thing costs. So back to subscription psychology. Here's a perfect example of subscription psychology in action. Imagine someone who thinks they're spending about $50 a month on subscriptions. When they actually do the audit, they discover $247 monthly in recurring charges. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Adobe Creative Suite, a meal kit service they'd use twice, 3 different fitness apps, a meditation app, cloud storage from 2 different companies, and 6 other services they'd completely forgotten about. Mind you, this entire paragraph, when I wrote it, I felt attacked. I was attacking myself. Well, that aside from the fitness apps, because that's not me, but the rest of them I could see, well, maybe not the meditation app either, but definitely the rest of them. I've had all of the other ones at least at some point in time. Back to our example. The fitness apps were the perfect example of subscription psychology manipulation. They signed up in January with good intentions, as everybody does, right? New year, new intentions. Used them for about 3 weeks, then never opened them again. But $30 a month kept coming out for the rest of the year. That's $360 for apps they used for less than a month. Kind of sounds familiar. Remember the old gym membership kind of scheme where you'd commit to a year because they knew you were only going to come in for a few months and then you were stuck paying that? Those scams have just found new ways of hacking your brain. Here's what really bothers me about the subscription model. It's designed to make you forget you're paying. Companies literally optimize for what they call passive churn, customers who stop using the service but forget to cancel. Netflix sends you recommendations to keep you engaged. Spotify curates playlists to remind you it exists. But that meditation app you downloaded during a stressful week, it's hoping you forget about it while it quietly charges your credit card every month. The subscription companies have teams of psychologists studying how to make recurring payments feel smaller than they are. They know that if they can get past your initial decision-making process, most people will never revisit that decision unless forced to. If this is hitting home and you're realizing your subscription spending might be higher than you thought, make sure you're getting all our latest guidance. Head over to simplefinancebites.com and sign up for our free newsletter. I share detailed strategies for optimizing your entire expense picture, plus step-by-step guides for building wealth through expense optimization. No fluff, just actionable advice to help you stop losing money to subscription psychology traps. And here's the compound cost that nobody talks about. That $200 monthly in unnecessary subscriptions isn't just $200. If you had invested that money instead of spending it at 7% annual return, that's $26,000 after 10 years. After 20 years, it's $104,000. That meditation app you forgot about 2 years ago, that $720 could have become $2,800 over 20 years. Subscription spending isn't just a budget problem. It's a wealth building problem. Let's talk a little bit about the psychology of recurring payment decisions. Your brain processes subscription costs completely different than one-time purchases, and subscription companies know this. When you're deciding whether to buy a $60 video game, your brain naturally asks, is this worth $60? But when you're deciding on a $10 monthly gaming subscription, your brain asks, is this worth $10? It doesn't automatically calculate that you're committing to $120 per year. This is called payment depreciation in psychology research. The further removed the payment is from the decision, both in time and in size, the less your brain weighs it in the decision-making process. Think about how you felt the last time you bought something expensive, like a laptop for $1,200. You probably researched it, compared options, thought about it for days or weeks. Now think about the last subscription you signed up for. Probably took you about 30 seconds, right? But here's the math that should terrify you. If you keep that $10 subscription for just 2 years, you spent more on it than you spent researching that laptop purchase. Yet you probably spent 100 times more mental energy deciding on the laptop. Now, I go through this audit on a routine basis. I usually do it about once a year, but lately I've been doing it more like once a quarter, just going through my subscriptions and figuring out what can I cut, what can I get rid of. And recently I got rid of everything except for 3 subscriptions on the personal side. Now I say that because obviously I have a podcast, I have multiple podcasts, and we use a lot of software for editing and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of exclude those, although I do audit those regularly as well from a business perspective. However, on the personal side, I pruned everything except for 3 subscriptions: Apple One Family Plan, Amazon Prime, and YouTube Premium. Why did I get rid of the others, and why did I keep these? The other ones I just wasn't using or didn't feel they were worth the money I was paying for them. Point blank, period. There's nothing else. They're just worthless to me. However, Apple One, we have a family plan, and we use that a lot across all of us. Not just the iCloud storage space, but all of the other services, Apple Music, the news, Apple TV Plus. Somebody is using every single one of those things a heavy amount. So we are getting our money's worth out of that. Amazon Prime is a similar thing. While we do the majority of our shopping at Costco and some other local shopping as needed, we do get a lot of things from Amazon Prime that are durable goods or non-perishables because they're cheaper and they show up at the door. So we absolutely get our money worth out of the shipping side of Amazon Prime, but we don't really watch the Amazon Prime Video, nor do we use Amazon Music or anything like that. So in my case, the value I'm calculating is strictly for the shipping and the lower price. And then the final one is YouTube Premium. I feel like that is the last one I would let go for multiple reasons. The first reason is I just am not a fan of seeing ads, so I'd rather just not see them. But the other reason is, as a content creator on YouTube who has 3 different channels on YouTube and a friend of many other content creators on YouTube, YouTube Premium helps contribute to those channels that are monetized. Basically, you're helping raise everybody up. Having a YouTube Premium subscription allows all of the content creators you watch to get a small cut of that subscription. So you are helping support their channels. So that's the reason I keep that one. It'd probably be the last one I would let go. If I had to let these go in a specific order, I'd probably let go of Amazon Prime first. Then I'd cut down Apple One to the bare minimum, which would just be the iCloud storage. And the last one to go would be YouTube Premium. Now, mind you, 2 of these 3 subscriptions are on monthly bills. The Amazon Prime I have on an annual bill just because it's cheaper that way and I know that I'm going to keep it for at least another year. But when things are broken down into monthly recurring subscriptions, there's a reason for that. The payment timing creates what researchers call cognitive separation. The benefit, watching Netflix tonight, feels immediate and concrete. The cost, $15 charged to your credit card next month, feels abstract and future. This is why subscription companies offer free trials. They're not being generous. They're getting you to experience the benefit first, which makes the future cost feel even more abstract when the trial ends. Netflix wants you to binge watch a show right before your trial ends. Spotify wants you to discover new music during your free month. They're creating emotional attachment to the service before you ever feel the financial cost. And once you're paying, they use the sunk cost fallacy against you. You start thinking, I've already paid for 6 months of this gym membership. I should just keep it so the money doesn't go to waste. But that 6 months is already gone, whether you keep paying or not, whether you show up to the gym or not. That is called the sunk cost fallacy. Some people refer to it as throwing good money after bad. This is what we're talking about here. The subscription model also exploits something called loss aversion. Canceling Netflix feels like losing something you have, even if you barely use it. Your brain treats giving up a service you're paying for as a loss, even when that service is actually costing you money. Here's another psychological trap. Subscriptions make costs feel fixed instead of variable. You start thinking of that $15 a month Netflix payment as a monthly expense, like rent or utilities, instead of a choice that you're making every month to keep it. This is why people who budget often put their subscriptions in a fixed expenses category and never question them. But subscriptions aren't fixed. They're variable costs disguised as fixed costs. You can cancel them anytime. Now let's talk about how to actually find all of your subscriptions. Most people try to do subscription audits from memory, which is exactly why they miss half of their subscriptions. Here's the systematic approach that actually works. Start with your bank and credit card statements from the last 3 months. Don't trust your memory, use data. Look for any recurring charge, no matter how small. You're looking for monthly charges, annual charges, and quarterly charges. Some subscriptions bill annually, like the Amazon one I referenced earlier, so you might not see them on recent statements. Check email confirmations from the past year to catch these. You can easily do a search in your Gmail or whatever email you use for subscription or renewal or whatever the case is, and you'll find these, trust me. On a personal note, I recently had 2 large Microsoft subscriptions renew automatically that I wasn't really using that much anymore. I had been using them prior, but I haven't in the last year basically. But they were on an annual renewal, so they kind of just slid through. I never got an email saying that they were going to renew. I just saw them show up on my bill statement. When I saw that, I immediately went and canceled them, and they tried to do the whole, well, you can have it through the end of the year since you just renewed it. Nope, let me talk to customer service. I canceled both of them. They refunded both of them. I now only do annual subscriptions on things I am sure I will use. And even then, I turn off auto renew on everything. Even if that means canceling it, letting it expire before I renew, it really doesn't matter. None of these services are just going to all of a sudden cut you off and delete everything you did. They want your money. So turn off auto subscription on everything and let them earn their money. Now, when looking for the subscriptions, here's what to look for. Streaming services, music apps, news subscriptions, productivity software, cloud software, fitness apps, meditation apps, meal delivery, beauty boxes, gaming subscriptions, VPNs, antivirus software, domain renewals, website hosting, professional memberships. There's a ton of them, right? But also look for these sneaky ones. Amazon Prime add-ons like channels, or the stupid little fee they added on to not see ads, or the faster shipping charges, insurance policies, paid monthly, extended warranties, phone protection plans, credit monitoring services, and identity theft protection. A lot of these things you can get for free. You don't have to pay for them. For example, extended warranties and phone protection plans often come with your credit card, as do the credit monitoring service and identity theft protection. They often come free with your credit cards. You need to check which credit cards you have and look if you have those services for free. There are other ones that are particularly tricky because they might show up under Apple or Google on your statements. These are specifically applications or apps on your phone. So you may not see the actual app name. You'll just see a recurring thing going for Apple or Google. So check your App Store subscriptions separately. Go into your phone settings and look at all active subscriptions. For iPhones, it's under Settings, Apple ID Subscriptions. For Android, it's under Google Play Menu Subscriptions. Also check these places where subscriptions hide: PayPal recurring payments, Venmo automatic payments, your Amazon account for Prime add-ons and subscribe and save, and any store loyalty programs with auto delivery. These things are vampires. They are all over the place, just draining your bank account. Create a spreadsheet with these columns: service name, monthly cost, annual cost, last used, value rating 1 to 10, cancel date if applicable. Now, you don't need to write all this down right now or remember it. This will be reposted on the main website, simplefinancebites.com. You can go there and see the article that's based on this podcast, and you can get all the information there. So you don't need to write it down right now. But this is also important. Don't just list the monthly cost. Calculate the annual cost too. Seeing that your meditation app costs $120 per year feels different than $10 per month. Ready to optimize not just your subscriptions, but your entire expense picture? I help people systematically review every recurring expense: subscriptions, insurance, phone plans, utilities, everything, to free up hundreds of dollars monthly for wealth building. Visit simplefinancebites.com to learn about our comprehensive one-on-one coaching. And don't forget to sign up for that free newsletter while you're there. Here's a pro tip. If you find a subscription you forgot about, don't cancel it immediately. First, try to actually use it for a week. Sometimes you'll realize it's valuable and you just forgot about it. Sometimes you'll confirm it's completely useless. This prevents the regret that comes from hasty cancellation decisions. For subscriptions you haven't used in over 3 months, be honest with yourself. You're not suddenly going to use that meditation app or meal kit service. The money you'll save by canceling is worth more than the theoretical future value you might get. For subscriptions you occasionally use, but not regularly, do the math. If you use Uber twice a month and pay $10 monthly for Uber One, you're paying $5 per ride for its small benefits. Is that worth it versus just paying regular Uber prices? Same thing for Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, all of those other scam services. Document everything before you start canceling. You want a record of what you had and what you canceled in case you need to reference it later. So let's talk about a decision framework here that actually works. Here's the decision framework that goes way beyond just, do I use this? First question, when did I last use this service meaningfully? Not just open the app, but actually getting value from it. If it's been more than 2 months, it's probably not adding value to your life. Pro tip here, you can set up your iPhone to automatically offload apps you haven't used in a certain period of time. If you go turn on that setting, it will automatically offload the apps after that time period has been reached, and they'll have a little icon like a download and a cloud thing on them, which tells you that those apps have been offloaded. That tells you that you're not using those apps. That's a visual indicator that you are not using those apps. That's a great way to see that you are not using those apps. And if those apps have subscription services, you should probably cancel them. Second question, could I get the same result for less money? Maybe you have Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus when you really only watch one service at a time. Maybe you have 3 different cloud storage services when one would handle everything. This is a little bit harder, especially for someone like myself who has a business and a personal side. I use both iCloud and Google Drive, and I kind of need both of them. But some out there might be paying for iCloud, Google Drive, and OneDrive from Microsoft, and they really only need the iCloud, or they really only need the Google Drive. Think about it. Could you get the same result for less money? Third question, does this subscription help me build wealth or just consume? Netflix is consumption. A subscription to investment, research, or educational content might actually help you make money. Same thing with subscriptions to content creation apps and whatnot, if you're doing that kind of stuff, or productivity applications. Those kind of things can help you build wealth. Netflix is never going to help you build wealth. Disney Plus is not going to help you build wealth. Apple TV Plus is not going to help you build wealth. Those are all consumption. They're all taking from you. Weigh these differently. Fourth question, what would I do with this money if I wasn't spending it here? $15 monthly invested consistently becomes significant wealth over time. Is this entertainment worth more than that future wealth? And the thing is, when you're doing this, you can't think about it in simple terms like, oh, it's only $15. What does that matter? That compounds over time. That $15, again, depending on how young you are, there's a very popular podcast out there that has a thing. I want to say it's like, this beer cost me $88 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's basically saying how if you are young and you invest $1 and that dollar compounds for, I want to say it's 40 years, it is $88 at the end. So every dollar you were spending at that age is costing you $88 in wealth down the road. 1 to 88. Imagine 15 to 88, right? So think about that. What is worth more to you? Consuming now or having an easier future? In my case, I always think about how much this would all be worth in 20 to 30 years if I invested it into VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. And again, we're not talking about there's a small number here and there's a small number there. We're talking about this compounding over 20 or 30 years. And another way to look at it is right now, assuming that you don't have your investments in place and all that kind of stuff, the future net worth you're putting on here is 0. Every dollar you add today is multiples of that dollar down the road. So don't think about it in terms of, oh, I'm putting $10 away now, or I'm spending $10 less. You are giving yourself hundreds of dollars down the road. Mentally, that's the shortcut you have to make. Now, For subscriptions you're unsure about, try the pause test. Cancel the subscription and see if you miss it over the next month. Most services let you reactivate easily if you realize you actually need it. I'm going to tell you right now, you're probably not going to reactivate the majority of them. Here's a framework that works really well: the buy it back test. For any subscription over $10 monthly, cancel it and see if you would actively choose to sign up for it again next month, knowing what you know now. This removes the sunk cost bias and makes you evaluate it as a fresh purchase decision. I had to do this recently with my Cinemark movie membership because I really wasn't going to the theater as much as I thought I was going to when I signed up for that thing. I went ahead and canceled it, and I have 6 months to burn the credits, and that is now one of my missions in life: burn these credits down to zero. But here's the thing: if I'm in month 6 and I burn down 80% of those credits and I realize I'm almost to the finish line, I can reactivate it for one more month, let it charge me, add one more credit, cancel it, and I get another 6 months to burn the rest of the credits. These are the type of things you need to look at, and they remove the sunk cost bias and make you evaluate it as a fresh purchase decision. Now, for expensive subscriptions, I have a couple of these, again, on the business side, not on the personal side. Anything over $50 monthly, do an even deeper analysis. Adobe Creative Suite at $60 monthly costs $720 per year. Could you buy cheaper alternatives or only subscribe when you have active projects? This is something I look at all the time. We have subscriptions across a large swath of creative apps that we use for all of our different podcasts and media. And we have found out that we can, in fact, do things better and cheaper with other apps. And we are slowly but surely closing down all of our Adobe stuff on at least 2 of the podcasts. One of them, our editor absolutely needs a Creative Suite, so that's a completely different story. But think about it and actually consider it. Some subscriptions are worth keeping even if you don't use them constantly. Spotify might be worth it if you use it a few times a week. Amazon Prime might pay for itself with shipping savings even if you don't use the video service. In my case, that's exactly what's going on. We don't use the video service really. Every now and then if I'm bored, I might go look in there for something to watch, but it's not like I'm paying for the service for that reason. We do order a lot from Amazon, and the shipping discount is real. And mind you, that same Prime subscription that I have on my personal side carries over to my business side. So I'm able to get the same Prime delivery on business items, and it's worth the money in my case. But be honest about the math. Amazon Prime costs $139 annually. You need to save more than $139 in shipping to break even. If you're only ordering twice a month, or you're ordering very small things that don't weigh that much, you're probably not hitting that threshold. However, in my case, where we're ordering significant dollar amounts, again, replenishing our durable goods and non-perishables, but also the business items I purchase are generally larger and heavier, which means the shipping is much more expensive. I know a while back I had to order this one full lighting setup that had these bags and ballasts and everything. And I want to say the entire package was like over 100 pounds. If I had tried to ship that or pay for the shipping, it would have been the cost of the Amazon Prime for the entire year. So think about it, consider what you're doing, but be honest about the math. Another thing you can do is set up calendar reminders to review your subscriptions quarterly. This is what I do. I set up a calendar reminder to review them quarterly. And then obviously it used to be annually. If I'm doing it every quarter, I'm going to hit it on the annual mark, but review them quarterly. Subscription creep is real. New services launch constantly and they fail just as fast. And it's easy to accumulate them without noticing. A quarterly review prevents your subscription spending from slowly growing back to where it was before. Now let's talk about implementation of this strategy. Here's how to implement this without getting overwhelmed or making decisions you'll regret. Start by just gathering data for 1 week. Don't cancel anything yet. Just identify every subscription and calculate your true monthly total. This number might shock you, but don't act on emotion. It's a very common thing you're going to hear on this podcast and on my website. Do not act on emotion. When it comes to finances and business, you have to act on logic. In week 2, categorize your subscriptions. Essential, you use weekly and would immediately resubscribe. Valuable, you use monthly and clearly get your money's worth. Questionable, You occasionally use it, but maybe not regularly, and forgotten. You haven't used this in months. Cancel the forgotten category first. These are easy decisions with no regret. This might save you $50 or $100 monthly right off the bat. Week 3, challenge the questionable category. For each one, ask yourself if you would sign up for the service today at this price, knowing how much you actually use it. For the valuable category, look for optimization opportunities. Could you downgrade plans? Could you share family accounts? This is exactly what we did with our Apple One account. Bundling the entire family and extended family into one account cuts the cost down significantly per person. Use annual pricing for discounts. This is another one that I told you about, the Amazon subscription. I do it annually because I know I get my money out of that one. I usually do this on the business side too. If I know I'm going to be using that subscription for business for the next year, I'll usually take the annual pricing. And especially on the business side, they usually price those things very competitively if you're doing annual versus month to month. Whereas on the personal side, the discount is usually not that big. It's almost not worth it, but look into all of those things. Now, you want to keep the essential category, but put them on your quarterly review calendar. What feels essential today might not be essential in 6 months as your life changes. That's one thing that I want to get across. All of the older folks listening to this podcast, you know what I'm talking about. But for you younger folks, those in your teens, 20s, maybe even early 30s, your life changes. You will change throughout your life. You might think, oh, I'll never change. Or you might hear people say, you can't change someone, or people don't change. I understand the perspective there. People do change. They change when they want to, they change when they need to, and often they change because of things that happen to them. Your life will change. So put these things on a review quarterly, because you might find in 6 months, whatever that thing is doesn't matter to you anymore. Here's a critical implementation tip. When you cancel subscriptions, don't just hit the cancel button. Export any data you might want to keep first. Spotify playlists, photo downloads from the cloud storage, any content you created within that service. Also be strategic about timing. If you're paid through the 15th, you might as well use the service until then instead of canceling immediately and losing the money you already paid. However, a lot of these subscription services don't let you cancel immediately for a prorated refund. You cancel and they say, okay, well, you will have service through the 15th, and then after that it'll expire. In that case, you might as well just go ahead and cancel it now. Do yourself a favor of not having to come back and deal with it later. Now, I'm about to give you a pro tip that I use personally a lot. And this is something that not a lot of people know about, but I'm going to give you the secret here. And if you have an Amazon subscription, even more so. For those times when you want to try a new streaming service or a subscription for just a month or two, or even if it's one of those things where you've said, okay, I like Netflix, but I don't want to be paying them every month, 12 months a year. I want to turn it on for a month, binge watch, and then have it automatically turn off. I don't want to have to fool with it. Instead of giving them your credit card directly, go on Amazon and buy digital gift cards for that specific service. Now, it might not line up perfectly. For example, if you have the Netflix subscription with no ads, I want to say it's like $8 or $9, and probably the minimum amount you can buy a gift card for is 10. Okay, so think about that. But the point is to go buy the gift card, sign up using the gift card balance instead of your credit card. Or if you've canceled, remove your credit card so they can't bill it, and then add in the gift card amount. Here's why this is brilliant. When that gift card balance runs out, the service effectively cancels itself because they can't bill anything anymore. They're not going to let you keep watching. It's just going to disconnect. You don't even have to talk to a person. The gift card turns it off for you. I do this with Netflix when I want to watch it sometimes. I do it with Disney Plus if I want to binge watch on there for a month. On the services that I don't put high value on, which is pretty much anything other than the 3 I listed earlier on, I use gift cards to sign up from them that I bought from Amazon. And another little pro tip, if you have the Amazon Prime Visa card, you're going to get 5% off that digital gift card if you buy it directly from Amazon as a first party. So not only are you setting the services up to auto cancel themselves, you're getting a discount on top of that. Now, as I said, the gift card basically auto cancels it once it runs out. So you don't have vampire subscriptions draining your account month after month. No forgetting to cancel. No awkward customer service calls or trying to find buried buttons in some menu somewhere. I know that they tried to pass a law recently to stop this kind of nasty behavior, and then someone decided they didn't want it there anymore, and so now it's still hard to cancel subscriptions. So if you use the gift card trick I'm telling you about, the subscription just dies. And that's what we want here. I've used this for everything from streaming services I wanted to try for a month to software subscriptions I needed for a specific project. Once the gift card runs out, subscription ends, problem solved. Done, move on with your life. It's like having an automatic kill switch for subscriptions. The subscription companies hate this trick because it forces them to actually deliver value during that limited time instead of relying on your forgetfulness for revenue. But that's exactly why it works so well. So that's the subscription audit framework: systematic discovery, psychological awareness, and smart decision-making that accounts for how your brain really works. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're using. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, doesn't matter. It really helps more people find these conversations. And if you're getting value from the show, sharing it with someone who could use some of this financial clarity makes a huge difference. If you want more content like this, including detailed guides and tips you can actually use, make sure you're signed up for our free newsletter at simplefinancebites.com. I share additional insights there that don't make it into this podcast, including step-by-step implementation guides for strategies like this one. I try to keep this podcast between 15 and 30 minutes because the idea is for it to be relatively fast and consumed during a commute, a walk outside, whatever the case is, but we expand a lot more on our website and on our newsletter. And I'll also be putting out longer form content later on our YouTube channel once we grow a little bit more. If you're listening to this and realizing your subscription spending is out of control, or you want help optimizing your entire expense picture, not just subscriptions, but phone plans, insurance, banking fees, everything, that's exactly what I help people with in my one-on-one coaching. This isn't just about cutting costs. It's about redirecting money from consumption towards wealth building and creating systems that prevent subscription creep from happening again. You can learn more at simplefinancebites.com. I only work with a limited number of people each month because I believe in giving everyone the attention and customization they deserve. Before you go, next week, we're diving into phone plan optimization and MVNOs. If you think you're getting a good deal on your cell phone plan, I guarantee you're going to be surprised. We'll cover how to save $50 to $100 monthly on phone service without losing any features you actually use. Until then, keep it simple, and I'll talk to you next week.